Hi. Jason, I wanted to ask a follow-up quickly. Also, when you said, fuck yeah, excuse my language, were you referring to the fact that you loved the franchise and you were a fan already? Was it the role? Can you talk a bit more about, you know, whether there was any hesitation for you or this was the role you really wanted?
No, there was no, there was a correlation. I mean, the film, I'd done Zero Dark 30 and I'd worked with a guy called Greg Shapiro who I trusted a lot. And after the phone call with Dylan, I spoke to Greg, you know, and he just said, who's the director? And I said, Matt Reeves. And he said, do it. You know, and at that point, you know, I knew Matt's films and there was no question about it, really. I mean, you know, I love that, you know, I hadn't read at that point, I'm thinking, my Charlton Heston? Great. You know. But yeah, it's deep within our psychology. You know, as a kid, I was a bit more disturbing for me. I was very disturbed by it when I was younger. But you know, so there's that level of, you know, you watch the film again and you go, you know, I really like this. I really like what this is doing. I want to be part of this on a number of levels. And then there's the part as an actor, where you know you go, yeah, it's great that Fox and Dylan and Matt and Andy, who have done all this work and are putting a lot of money and effort and you know into something they love. Want you to be part of that, you know, it's a nice feeling.
Yeah, thanks.
We have time for one more question, if you'll step up.
Hi, Joe McCabe, Total Film. This question's for Matt. Matt, with Cloverfield and you know, Let Me In, you've demonstrated a great facility for balancing reality and fantasy and delving into these different fantastic genres. This would be your biggest challenge yet, I would think, because there's so many variables involved. Can you talk about that, about finding, you know, the reality in so much of this and still giving, you know, the fun and entertaining, you know, escapism that audiences, you know, want in a film like this?
Sure. I mean, to me, the great thing that you have going for you immediately is that they're apes. Like you've got that. So, and it's amazing what Weta does and how they can transform. But the key to the whole thing is what's going on under it and what Andy does and what the other actors do when they're playing apes in a way that sort of is emotionally authentic. And when I first got involved, I felt, well, first of all, it's a world that I have been in love with since I was a kid, and I was really affected by what Andy had done and what the story was in the first film, in Rise. And I was like, well, what is that about, and how does that happen? And I asked them, actually, to show me the footage of everything that Andy had done, wearing the markers, wearing the camera on his face, wearing this crazy gray suit that they wear. And I just wanted to see what he was doing, and then I wanted to watch it up against the footage. And I realized that the reason I was affected emotionally was because Andy, regardless of the fact that he was acting like an ape, he was just a brilliant actor, and that it was just so emotionally real. And the thing that is always important to me in whatever I do is trying to find the reality of that. And I think the key is that you take the one element that is the fantastical, which is that they're intelligent apes, and you let that be the one fantastic element. And everything else is about trying to sort of realize it in a way that feels grounded and real. We went out and we shot, you know, the first film was shot much more on the stage. It was a smaller scale film. This film, you know, because of what they're creating, this ape kingdom, is out in the woods. So we went out into the woods. I wanted to use as much available light as possible so that you could create all that reality. And then, of course, the key to everything was just about the emotional reality of the characters that these actors play. And so once you do that, you forget about the fact that they're apes. That's the thing. Like, we tried to create a story that we would connect to, that would mean something to us, and then on top of that, you look back and go, oh yeah, and they're apes. And that's the thing that takes you to this other level, because it allows you to tell a story that matters to you, because you have the cover of the genre to say, well, what's going on and how is this happening? Oh, this is this conflict that's all between these humans and these apes. And that's the way I tried to approach it.
Thank you.
And on that note, we need to end it. We need to get you over to Hall H so we can come and see you there. So thank you, Andy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jason. Thank you, Matt.